So hello YouTube, this is Vivash here back with another video, and this time we are going to update the BIOS on a motherboard. Why I am making this video is because AMD has launched their new set of processors, that's the 5000 series, and most of the motherboards that are coming in the market right now are not updated with the latest BIOS to support the 5000 series processors. So this video specifically is going to be about updating the BIOS on MSI motherboards. You can try this for different motherboards as well. However, it is specifically for MSI. At this point in time, 5000 series processors are only supported by the B550 and the X570 chipset motherboards. They are not supported by B450 or 320 for that matter. However, there is news in the air that they will be supported in the future, or they will be supported going forward from January, February. Other companies or AMD is going to launch BIOS versions or BIOS updates for the 320, 450 and other chipset motherboards. I don't know how long, or I don't know how big is their scope of support, but let us just hope that they come up with something good. Without wasting any further time, let us jump right in and learn how to update the BIOS on the motherboard. So for updating the BIOS on the motherboard, the first thing that you need is the processor to be seated in, or you need to install the processor first, and then along with the processor you need the RAM, and also you would require the graphics card. Now the processor and RAM, you know as to why you would require it. So you would require the graphic card for display purposes. To know as to how to install the processor, RAM and graphic card along with the bench test, please do watch the video that I will link in the description and also here. After you have completed that procedure, you can go ahead with this one. So I tried updating the BIOS on the MSI motherboard using the BIOS flash button that is present on the motherboard. Now this is a hard installation. I mean, you do not require any sort of any processor or RAM or graphics card for this. However, it did not work for me. Even though your motherboard would not be compatible with the 5000 series processor, you can still plug it in to boot to BIOS, and there you can use M-Flash to update the BIOS. So when I tried updating the BIOS using the BIOS flashback button or the BIOS flash button on the MSI motherboard, all it was doing was it was just blinking the red light. I mean, there was no activity. Like when you have activity or when the BIOS is getting installed onto the motherboard, it will flicker, it will show variable speeds, like it will go slow and then it will go high and then slow. However, in my case it was not doing all that. It was just a stable blink. That is the reason why I decided to use the M-Flash instead of the BIOS flashback button. I don't know how many motherboards this will work with, but for me, when I plugged in the 5600X and tried to boot to BIOS, to my luck it did boot to BIOS. This is a 5600X and the motherboard does not have the appropriate BIOS to support the CPU, so we will have to update the BIOS first, which will support the processor in this case. You need not do it for every motherboard. It is specifically for this motherboard because 5600 has just launched and the BIOS in this motherboard is not updated or is not compatible for 5600X. That is why we are doing that. So to download the BIOS, first you need a pen drive. Plug the pen drive in, format the pen drive in NTFS format, and then download the BIOS from the MSI website. You will get it in the form of a zip file. You have to extract the file as shown in the video into a pen drive, or you can extract it to the desktop and then transfer it to the pen drive. You have your pen drive ready for the BIOS flash. Alright, it shows that we have display. It shows that we have AMD 5600X installed. It shows we have 32 GB of RAM. So it is asking us to enter the setup. It says F1 to run the setup, or F2 to load the default values and continue. So I got my keyboard plugged in. Let me hit F1 and see. Alright, there is display. You can see that the BIOS is updated to the latest one because I have updated already. But let me show you how to do it. In this case, I have this pen drive. I have downloaded and extracted the file onto this pen drive. Let me plug that in. Here you will see BIOS flash. Here is where you need to plug the pen drive in. Now that we have plugged it in, we will go into the M flash mode. M flash. Hit enter and hit enter again. After you hit M flash, the computer will reboot into flash BIOS mode, or M flash mode you can say. You just have to wait for a few seconds. So there it says enter flash mode. Now it is into the flash mode. You will have to browse. Give me a minute. Alright, as you can see, I have extracted the BIOS file, which is named E7C56 AMS140. I have extracted the file. Just need to click on, or you just need to double click, and it will say it will reboot the computer now. When you double click on it, there it says, are you sure you want to select this file? You have to hit yes. Now since I have already updated the BIOS to the latest version, I'm going to click no, but in your case you have to click yes. So we have exited the M flash mode and we'll be entering the BIOS mode. When your computer is booting to BIOS, it means that all of your components are working correctly and working properly. So I hope you liked the video, and I hope you'll find it informative. What all I have discussed in the video, I hope you'll find that informative. And I am seeing that maximum number of people that are visiting my channel are not subscribed to the channel. So please, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel. It gives me enthusiasm, a great boost of enthusiasm and great drive for me to make different videos on different topics and come up with new content which is interesting for you, or which can be helpful to you, not now but in the future, or to anyone you know. As always, stay safe, stay home, stay blessed, happy riding, and see you in the next video. Ciao.